Hello everyone. So this is our reminder for how to hang a light. I'm also going to touch on a couple of things I didn't get to the other day. So before you even hang a light, you want to make sure that you've got all the tools that you're going to want. So piece of tie line. I like to keep mine around my neck so that it's easy access. You can easily shove it into a pocket if you want to. And then I also want to make sure that I've got my C-wrench ready. Now, this C-wrench does not have the lead to my belt, which means I should never take this up a ladder. But since we do most of the hanging at my school, not up on a ladder, I don't typically have leads on my C-wrenches. All right, just a reminder, I'm not going to go over the reasons why parts are named, but I am going to talk through the parts. So when hanging a light, we want to grab it by the yoke or by the C-clamp. I tend to like to hang in my non-dominant hand first so that I can put this on here, and then I can move my non-dominant hand there, right? Remember I talked about splitting that C-clamp with my fingers so that I can pull it close into the pipe. So I've got it up there, close into the pipe. Order matters here, okay? I am going to tighten with my hand, then I can let go. Safety cable is my next piece. So I want to take this piece right here of aircraft cable with a loop on one end, carabiner on the other end, run it through my yoke, up and over my pipe, and connect it like that, okay? This ensures that if the C-clamp fails, that it still has a point of contact connected to the yoke. Next, keeping my hand on my C-clamp, pulling it into the pipe as much as I can. I'm gonna wrench tighten. Remember, this is adjustable, so I can adjust it to whatever width I need. So I'm going to not hold it at the bottom, hold it at the end so that I get a little bit more torque. Once it feels pretty good on there, I'm going to go back and give it a quarter turn more. Remember, you don't want to over tighten it because I don't want to leave tooth marks or bite marks in the pipe so that it rusts out because you will expose metal if you do wrench it down too hard. The other part of this is a reminder. If I'm up on a ladder and I need to move this for whatever reason, I don't want to try to knock myself off the ladder by trying to wrench it off so hard. Another reminder, tighty righty, loosey lefty. So I turn to my right to tighten, I turn to my left to loosen anything. All right, now that I've got my instrument on here, I want to touch on something I didn't get to mention in class the other day. There is a right way and a wrong way, an upside and a downside to the instrument itself. The quickest and easiest way to check is, once I can get this facing you all, is if you look right here, there are 4 sides. The open side, that's where you slide in the gel, right? If you have the open side facing down, your gel's gonna fall out. So that's an easy way to tell. My light right now, if I was pointing this way, is hung upside down. So what I would need to do is rotate this. Remember, I use my Jesus bolt or my pan bolt right up here so that I can rotate this. And then I can loosen up my T-bolt right over here to tip this up and down. Now, I have it facing the correct direction. There's another easy way to tell whether or not you are upside down or right side up. And I'm gonna pick up the computer for this so that I can zoom us in a little bit. If you look right here, there is a slot underneath of the shutter, And on all ERSs, there is that slot there. That slot is for gobos. So that's an accessory slot. If it's hung upside down, your gobo will keep falling out. So that's how you know that you're the wrong way. So I've currently got it turned the correct way because I'm going to focus it this way. What I want to do next is I want to pre-focus. So wherever it is that I'm going to be pointing my light, I want to make sure that I've got it tipped up, that I've got my pan bolt in the right spot. I've got it turned whichever way I'm going to. Then I tighten it down, right? And I don't need to wrench that guy down there, particularly your pan bolt. I just need it so that it's not going to move. And whenever somebody walks by, and if they hit it on accident, it's not gonna go swinging on me. All right, next step. I'm just gonna go ahead and drop my pigtail so that it's out of my way. I'm going to pull all of my shutters. I didn't do this correctly in class, and I do apologize because I was trying to get this done fast. If I leave my shutters pushed in, remember that traps the heat back here, which is where my lamp is, and my lamp will explode if I don't. So I need to pull my shutters. The other thing is, if I'm turning on a light to try to see if it's working and I'm testing it, if my shutters are pushed in, I can't see if my light works. So I need to make sure that all my shutters are pulled, right? Next, your pigtail, right here. It doesn't need to be right next to the C-clamp, but it should be like within 6 inches of that C-clamp. What that's there for is focus room. If I have to tilt my instrument, I want to make sure that I've got enough of a pigtail. Now, when I'm dressing my cable, all I'm doing is a single knot, and then I'm just doing a bow, just like you would your shoes. Never, ever, 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 ever double knot. You will make everybody so upset with you because we have to cut that 9 times out of 10, that piece of tie line that we just put up there, and it's the worst. And it's also not particularly safe when you take up a box knife with you up, 20, 30 feet in the air. So you wanna make sure that that's where it's supposed to be. Now, luckily, I've got a pigtail for a circuit right here. If I didn't, I might need to run some cable or some jumpers to try to get me from a circuit to the light. But we're not gonna worry about that for this. I'm gonna put you right next to a circuit. What you'll notice is that on the plug, there's that little gap right there. Between 2 of the pins and then less of a gap on your other pins. You can only insert it into the circuit one way. Now this isn't going to turn on because I don't have the power on for this, but I would get that plugged in, making sure that I don't have a gap between my circuit plug and my light plug. When this turns on, what I'll have for you guys is I will have an image, or a shape rather, for you guys to shutter the light to. And I will have shuttered it and taped based on that. So it can be done. It can be done. So what you'll do is you'll just push your shutters in, remembering that it's always opposite and backwards than what you think, okay? Something that will help, we didn't talk about this in class, but if you feel so inclined, there is a knob down at the bottom of the instrument that will loosen up the barrel and allow it to slide in and out. What that does is that changes the focus. That makes the very edge of the pool of light either really sharp and defined or very diffuse. The sharper and harder that edge, the better it is for you when you're trying to do a very specific focus like a shape. So if you're not getting an edge that you like, loosen up that knob right down here, run your barrel, okay? Sorry, I'm getting a call from a telemarketer now. All right. Aren't live videos fun? All right. So once I'm done with all of this, you will tell me when you want me to grade your focus, all your cuts and all that, right? When you're done, the first thing we want to do, unplug the light, okay? Then we'll undress the cable. And this goes right back around my neck. Next, I'm pushing in my shutters, all 4 of them. The other reason I push in my shutters, I don't want them to get bent, which makes them harder to push in and out over time. So I've done that. I want to restore to normal, which means I've rotated my light to point this way. So I just want to restore it so that it's pointed the same way as my yoke. Got that restored. I'm going to point this straight down. Next, off with my safety cable. And I want to make sure that this is still on the instrument. That way I don't have to worry about whether or not I'm climbing a ladder with an instrument without a safety. Every instrument should have their own safety cable on it. Hand wrapped around the C-clamp and around the pipe. We're going to wrench loosen it. And again, order matters, right? This way I can keep hands on the instrument and I don't have to take it off now, both hands to try to undo my safety. Safety first, right? There, I can unloosen the rest of the way until it's safe to come off. And trust me, you're gonna have to pull this out just a little bit further than you may think. Otherwise, that bolt sticking through is just gonna knock on that pipe and you'll have to undo it a little bit more. Hands on and pull it off. I can also shove my pigtail right between the yokes so that it sits there. So that kind of gives you an idea of how much you need to unscrew and screw so that it comes in and out. It does not have to, let me get you against a neutral background or a more neutral background. Nope, this is bad. There we go. Yes. There we go. Oh, well, hopefully you can see it. It doesn't need to go all the way inside of there. It can stick out a little bit, right? One last thing, your C-clamp. It is going to be the easiest to have your C-clamp face you when you're working. That said, all C-clamps on a pipe should face the same direction. So typically, you're wanting your C-clamp to be facing the same way. Usually on stage, we're wanting the C-clamp to be upstage because we're aiming down and we want to be behind the instrument to focus it. And it makes everything a little bit easier. If we're hanging in a cove position, we want the C-clamp to be facing us away from the stage. Again, it just helps make it easier during focus time because that way you're not trying to figure out what way is righty-tighty, loosey-lefty by going across the instrument. But at the end of the day, C-clamps should always be facing the same way because it makes for taking on and off your instruments that much easier because then you're not having to bounce back and forth between the two sides of the pipe. That should go over everything. That's everything we're going to be tested on and cover. Let me know if you have any questions beyond what we just went over or anything that we went over in class. I will be in the shop from 10 to 11 if you guys have questions or if anybody wants to come in and give it a try before you're actually tested on it. Otherwise, please show up to your scheduled time on time, if not 5 minutes early. You have 15 minutes to hang the light, aim it, shutter it, and take it back off. 15 minutes is what you have, and that should be plenty of time for you to be able to get your stuff done. All right.